Welcome back to, believe it or not, another episode of Autodidactica. I'm one of your hosts, Glenn Clark,
I'm the other host, Matt Paul.
and it's been nice talking to you. See you next time.
Yep, thanks for coming.
Yeah, bye.
Just kidding.
Yeah, just kidding. Just kidding. Just lying to you folks.
That's all we do here at Autodidactica.
Yeah, pretty much. We just lie,
Yeah,
except when we're telling the truth, which is actually most of the time. Um,
we're Big Brother.
right. We're watching you. You're not watching us. We're watching you. Um, so you will have just seen or heard an episode of this recently because we just posted the one we recorded months ago. Right. So, but we took a hiatus. Like before that one went up, you will have noticed we were not here after gosh, what was the last one we did?
It
Um
was like in last recording was in
March.
like March. That's what I was gonna
Yeah,
say.
March is when it went up. It's September. As we record this, it's September 29th. It's the end of September. But what was the last topic we posted?
Oh, that's something we should have looked up before we
Yeah, we should have, because I know the last one we recorded, the last one y'all will have heard was Do Dreams Have Meaning? Let's see, before that,
that was a fun one.
was it Is Racism Learned or Inherent?
Oh God, I'm just
It
remembering all the
was.
heavy topics we do here.
Yeah, that's what I love about it. Is racism learned or inherent? And that was actually thus far our most listened to slash watched episode. So thanks for that, y'all.
Yeah, thank you.
um, but yeah, we had to take a hiatus. Matt, do you want to speak to that?
Yeah, no, I just had some things going on in my personal life that just sort of encompassed all of my time from March until here recently, and it's still ongoing. So,
Yeah,
but we were able to sit down and hammer out some time to do this. And so here we are.
right,
We're back.
right. And moving forward, like we had tried to do it bi-weekly, and it's really hard. Like we
Bi-weekly, semi-monthly.
I
I don't
think
know.
bi-weekly is every 2 weeks.
Yeah, semi-monthly would be every twice. That'd be
It's
twice a month.
bi-weekly is both male and female weeks.
Oh,
It's like
gotcha.
it's all weeks, not just limited to two, but
On
it's
a spectrum.
it's on a spectrum. So we were bi-weekly.
Tune in
Now
next week for our week's gay.
our week's gay. That's what our topics are going to devolve into at some point when we go senile.
Yeah.
That'll be fun. I hope we're doing this in a nursing home and that all the old people think we're nuts.
Probably because we will be.
Right, of course we will be. We're nuts now.
That's
Um
true.
let's see. I'm looking up that last video. I wanted to see. I know there were comments on it, but it's been a while and I didn't comment back on any of them. I liked a bunch of comments. But yeah, anyway, so moving forward, we didn't want to, like, I was worried everyone was going to think we're one of those wuss wuss podcasts that just kind of quits and disappears. That's not at all what was going on. But yeah, just with life, with work, and because we were recording these during the week after work, and it was really hard because we'd record for hours and then I'd have to get up at the crack of dawn, and I could do it, but I'd rather not. So we're we're doing this once a month and on a Friday, and see if that's an easier schedule to keep on with.
Yeah, so we're not dead tired and also having the workday looming over us the next day.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like tomorrow is Saturday.
So,
So it's all right.
no holds barred.
All right,
Yep.
so comments, and I guess this is the way it's gonna work, is we'll reply to comments that y'all leave on the YouTube channel. This is the podcast, and it also goes up on YouTube. So we read the comments from the YouTube videos, and we'll do that. I guess it'll be 2 episodes after the episode you're commenting on, is how it's going to probably lay out. So these are comments people left on Is Racism Learned or Inherent, 2 episodes back, way back in 1832, whenever we posted that one. Let's see.
Yeah, I
We've got
like Zacopa's response there, because I've often thought of it basically, if I can just
oh yeah,
summarize what he says,
yeah, do it.
it's pretty much just they were commenting on how racism is basically a tool of the elite and used as a political tool to divide the common man, basically.
Right.
They say here, racism is always a consequence of political manipulation, and often enough its intended consequence. And there are examples of that throughout history.
Oh yeah, for
especially
sure.
during the turning point of the American struggle with slavery,
Right.
where it was it's really a classist system where racism was a tool used to divide the poor people, make the poor whites fear the poor blacks, and then
Right.
the rich get richer.
Yeah. Yeah, it is a tool of elitism. Like, because I mean, really, biologically, race is BS. It's a social construct, and that's exactly why it exists, to separate people
and make you less powerful.
Right. Yeah, they created the concept of white people,
right,
in order to oppress people. Like, yeah, it's
white Jesus, which is just
right, white Jesus.
Comes from the
surfer
depiction
Jesus.
who was it? That dude's gay lover is the white Jesus, the
Wait,
dude who
what?
painted the Sistine Chapel.
Wait, for real?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
What was that guy's name? Michelangelo?
Wasn't that? I think that was Michelangelo.
Yeah, the model that he
Watch us be
used
wrong. I think it
for
was
white Jesus
Michelangelo.
was his
lover
at the time. So the white Jesus that we all see that looks like Obi-Wan Kenobi from episode 2,
right,
was modeled on his lover. Amen.
I love that. That's amazing.
So yeah, that's
I'm gonna have to Google that to check the veracity.
Yeah,
that sounds like meme scholarship to me, but it could be true, and I really want it to be.
Yeah, that's just what I'm going to keep telling people. So eventually we'll all just believe it to be true.
Right.
But yeah, and then the reply to Zacopa's comment basically is what you said, that there's only one race, the human race. That's right. In all caps. So
right. And that was Nash, son of Zeus.
Great name.
Yeah, that's a fantastic name. Is that pretty much all he said there?
Yeah, that's the extent of it. Zacopa goes on about it being a political tool to divide the people, and
right,
that's probably the worst form of racism. And then there's the ignorant form that is presented to the people that it is affected by, that the political division tool affects.
Right. The brainwashed masses who think that it's all, who buy into it, pretty much. Who buy you're into saying it, like, yeah. There's the nefarious, malicious racism where they know it's BS and they're making it up on purpose, and those guys are long dead. And then there's the the people who grow up in those societies. Yeah, pretty much. We're all just morons who think it's all lost true.
Their way.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, we're very PC on Autodidactica.
That's what we're known for.
We're known for being politically correct by people who don't listen to this podcast.
Right.
Only by them.
So yeah, thank you, Zacopa, for always watching and interacting.
Yeah, we always love your comments.
We appreciate it.
And Nash, son of Zeus. Thank you. And oh, I got my readers off. What's the name of the next commenter? This is a
That would
very
be Como bunch of numbers.
Como bunch of numbers.
Great combo. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you. Thank
We
you.
try.
Hopefully you're tuning in
You're
after
catching
our
about
long
10%
hiatus.
of the conversations that me and Glenn have
This is
that we
true.
film, and this is a small window.
Right.
You should, if only y'all could be in our kitchen at 2 a.m. with me, Glenn, and our other roommate,
Uh-huh.
where we just go in
Right.
on any and all topics,
Right. We just talk.
many of which would not be suitable for podcasts.
Except I would probably try to push for it because I have
because Glenn has zero image scarcity, or he's not scared.
Yeah, I'm not scared. I want to talk about all of it. I think, we shouldn't fear conversations or topics or ideas. Everything
Except
is
my only issue is that I'm often playing the bad guy to drive the conversation forward.
Mm-hmm.
And so I will pretend to be one of the ignorant masses.
Mm.
And so my image would be rather tainted as I work through.
We'll see, or you don't have to do that.
Yeah. No, you definitely, I think it's important to try to think of the opposite of what I'm
Mm-hmm. No, it is.
like,
It's
where I'm
important.
leaning towards.
It's important to try to see both sides or all sides of an argument. I agree.
But anyway, thank you to all of our loyal viewers throughout the year.
Right.
Going forward.
Yeah, we've been doing this just over a year now.
Mm-hmm.
We were on hiatus during our 1 year birthday, Autodidactica's birthday.
Yeah.
So, 16 episodes. This will be episode 18. This is episode 18. Not a bad count for a year.
Yep. Not a bad count for a bunch of cogs in the industry.
Right. So this week we got this month's topic is it's a light one. We picked a light one this time. Yeah. Should all drugs be legal? Yes. All right, moving on.
Thank you. So yeah, if you ask me the question, should all drugs be legal? I think what immediately comes to mind for me, and probably you too, is less that all drugs should be legal and more towards the idea of decriminalization. And that's where my mind immediately goes, at least, because I think the prospect of should all drugs be legal, I immediately think of burning cities and chaos in the streets, and
because that's what they did in Amsterdam. Like, they just burned it all down after everything was legalized.
And the
whole place went into flames.
Right, because the idea of the very large encompassing things like all and drugs and legal,
right,
can send my imagination down some very crazy paths, as in next thing I know, houses are going to be blowing up next to each other because they're cooking meth. Everybody's just like,
well, but see, okay, there's an example. Like, if meth is legal, it's do you make moonshine in the bathtub now that alcohol is legal, or do you go buy it at the store? Does someone else brew what you're drinking? That we're going to eliminate meth labs next door if we legalize meth.
But see, that sounds less like legalization and more like regulation. And
well, legalization comes with regulation. Like, it's not going to be regulated if it's illegal. They're just going to say, hey, you can't do that. And then it's unregulated because there are no laws beyond you can't do this, you can't possess this, you can't make this. That's it. It's just a bunch of you can't. And
Right.
so the government's not going to regulate something that would be like, the government doesn't regulate prostitution. They just made it
Right.
illegal.
And unless you're
They
in
don't
certain areas.
regulate murder. Like
Right,
if
but
it's
they do. They
illegal, it's
regulate
illegal.
all of that.
Well, no, it's illegal. There's not like
No, that's why
conditions
there's a
for
difference of
murder.
there are. And it's called first degree, second degree, manslaughter, first
Hmm.
degree, second degree. And that's sort of
Well, I
my
think
my
that's
take on the thing. It's everything like because driving is legal, but that
uh-huh.
doesn't mean that your toddler can go and drive.
Right.
And
Well, okay, see that's regulation. Like
right,
to me, like what you're talking about with different degrees of murder, I don't see that as, at least not how I'm using the term regulation. It's like it's legal, but only if you're 18. That they don't do that with murder. It's um they're different crimes. It's more like if you kill someone by accident, then they look at the conditions. If it's premeditated, they're different things, I guess. But murder is still illegal.
totally,
Um,
totally.
and it's not like they're saying we're gonna regulate murder, so you can murder your neighbor if you are a registered voter or
Right.
something. It's
You can murder your neighbor if your neighbor unlawfully enters your house in the state of Texas.
right, but see, then it isn't murder. Like it's
Right.
killing someone in
It
self-defense,
is in
and
the
that's
Bible, but
in the
no.
Bible. Like, don't
I'm
get
just
me started on the Bible and
but yeah,
yeah, don't.
like I think legalization comes with regulation.
Right,
Is sort of and vice versa. Regulation comes with legalization.
right.
And so, but like the massive statement of all drugs be legal definitely can lend the imagination to some chaotic things.
Right, and I think,
There's no legality without regulation, basically.
right, exactly. It's not anarchy. It's
Right.
just like when they like, okay, prohibition of alcohol in the United States, I think, is a good example. Um
Absolutely.
because when they made alcohol illegal, they didn't get rid of alcohol. They created crime and gangsters. They created public health issues, what with
NASCAR.
moonshine being made in people's bathtubs. And yeah, did you say NASCAR?
NASCAR was a result of prohibition.
Was it?
Yeah.
Do tell. I don't know
Uh
this
the
story.
yeah, no, NASCAR was started because moonshine runners
Uh-huh.
would soup their cars up to
Oh.
outrun the police. And then when alcohol was legal again, they're like,
Uh-huh.
hey, you know what? It's kind of fun souping cars up and
Right.
driving them really fast.
Okay.
And that led to the American sport of auto racing, NASCAR.
Right. So once
Started with
alcohol
prohibition.
was legal again, something designed to get away from the police became something legitimate. It became
Yeah,
something non-criminal. Like they just took that aspect of it instead of getting away from the cops. It's
yeah,
racing. And that's the thing, like when they legalize alcohol again, it wasn't fueling all the gangs anymore because you could just go to the store. It's not like they got rid of gangs. It's just alcohol wasn't a part of that equation anymore. But what is, like, we still have drug lords now who are basically, it's the same thing because of the illegal drugs that we still get.
right.
Every people are still doing drugs, but there's more risk. There's because your friends are more likely to run away if you OD than call the cops or drive you to the hospital. Or if they do drive you to the hospital, they're more likely to leave you on the
Just dump
curb
you.
and take off. Yeah, because they don't want to get in trouble with the law. Um, and if things are legal, those problems go away. There's no reason to be afraid. Like, oh, my friend is ODing on this legal substance, call an ambulance. Nobody's going to get in trouble. People are only going to be helped. And you're less likely to get, like moonshine could kill people.
It has killed people.
Yeah. And it's the same, like you don't know what you're going to get. Like I have a friend who shall remain nameless, but to me it's a funny story. Retrospectively, it's a funny story. Because he smoked pot and he went insane. Like he was hallucinating, which doesn't happen with marijuana. He thought he had been stabbed. And he was on his bathroom floor, he thought, dying, called the police to report that he had been stabbed. I get a call that he's in the hospital having been stabbed. And so I drop everything, race to the hospital. His brother's there. It turns out he just smoked weed. And I'm like, how much weed do you have to smoke to think that to hallucinate that you had been stabbed? I don't know how, because the police took him to the hospital. I don't know how he didn't get in trouble, but he didn't. But that wasn't normal weed. Had weed been legal, he wouldn't have had that experience. I think that weed was clearly laced with something. And that's something you get when you're buying it off the street. You don't know what you're getting. There is no
Right.
regulation.
So in a regulated, like all drugs legal sort of environment,
Mm-hmm.
do you still criminalize people who cook meth at home? Is that legal to just cook meth at home, to make crack cocaine at home?
That's a
And
good question.
like, do you have to buy Walmart's crack cocaine? You
Right.
know,
Right.
and so on, because that's the sort of the whole, that's one of the driving forces of um decriminalization, and well, in the United States as well as other countries, making pot legal.
Mm-hmm.
It's it's the idea to take it away from the black market. Like,
Right.
um in certain states, I haven't kept up with it as much,
Mm-hmm.
but like when I looked it up way back when Colorado first legalized, the whole bit was you could still grow at home,
Mm-hmm.
and you could even distribute it to your friends. You technically weren't allowed to sell it to your
Right.
friends, but you could give it to them in certain quantities.
And see, and that's regulation. And I think like with marijuana, growing it, you're not going to blow up your house. So
Right.
that's a smaller thing, but I think I would we don't know what regulation would look like nationwide across the board because it hasn't happened. But that is something that would probably be an issue. I would lean on the side of you can, like, let's stick with weed for the moment. Like, yes, you can grow weed. I like that. You can distribute it. I don't think we should say across the board you can't sell it. I do think maybe we add you have to have a license to sell it.
Right, just like a liquor license.
Because anyone, if it's a legal thing, anyone should be able, like to bottle their own wine, their family brand, and if you want to make a business out of that, everyone should be able to start a little mom and pop of anything that's legal. I don't think we should make it something where it's exclusive to big corporations and the rich. Um, but I do think, things like meth, again, go back to that you have to, there's chemistry involved. It's not like it just grows
Right,
on
it
a
doesn't happen
plant.
naturally.
Right. So something like that, that's where I think having a license would be very important because you shouldn't be able to do something like that and just sell it to people because that would be way easier to do damage. Even weed, if you were to lace it. Like we'd have the same problems. And those, nothing gets rid of, legalization doesn't 100% erase all of the problems. There are still people, for example, who make moonshine in their bathtub just because they want to, but it's a very tiny number of people because most people don't want to put in the work. Like, would you rather brew moonshine in your bathtub or just run down the road and get a bottle and come home and
Dude,
drink?
I would rather pay someone to mow my lawn than mow my own lawn.
Mm-hmm.
I am all about
That's most people.
exchanging currency for product
Right.
rather than doing the thing, you
Hence
know.
convenience stores.
Yeah,
It's about the
exactly.
convenience, and that's, humans are inherently lazy.
Right. Yeah,
Making moonshine is more a passion project these days.
right. And I'm willing to pay a passionate moonshiner
Uh-huh.
for their product.
Right.
Basically, I exchange my services, to make my coin
Mm-hmm.
in exchange for my time. And so I pay someone else for their time to buy the products I want
Right.
instead of doing it all myself.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a vegetable garden. I go and buy vegetables,
Right.
and you know, all of that. I now I wash my own car
Mm-hmm.
because I feel I do a better job than
Right.
a car wash
Mm-hmm.
would. And so there are things like that, were I a marijuana consumer, hell yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
would prefer to just grow my own. It's
Mm-hmm.
cheaper, it's cost effective, it's
Right. Right.
all of those things. And
And it makes a great stocking stuffer. It makes a great gift.
yeah, it makes a great gift as long as I'm legally allowed to give it to people.
Right, exactly. And we live in Texas where it is not
No,
legal.
and
But
unless you're buying that diet stuff.
oh yeah, the diet weed.
Yeah,
But
CBD, Delta 9, whatever the hell all that stuff is.
like here it is illegal, and pretty much all of our friends always have weed.
Right. And
Think
you
about
can,
it. People smoke the crap out of weed in Dallas, Texas.
yeah, you can just get on your Facebook and say, anybody got?
Right.
And there you go.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll get so much buzz just from that.
Right.
Yeah, not hard to come by. And it's not even, and like the police look the other way a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah, for the
the
most part.
laws have loosened quite a bit. When I was in high school, if you got caught with 2 grams, you're getting arrested.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's 2 ounces. If you get caught with less than 2 ounces on your person, it's just a misdemeanor ticket.
Right.
They write you a ticket and send you on your way.
Mm-hmm.
And whereas before, you'd be getting arrested and charged with intent to sell
Mm-hmm.
for 3 grams, and that's appalling.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, as far as like regulation goes, I still adhere to the idea that you shouldn't be cooking meth. You
Mm-hmm.
shouldn't be cooking crack. All
Right.
cocaine has blood on it.
Mm.
Like, there's no there. I would not believe anyone that said that their cocaine is cruelty free.
Right. Well,
Like,
qualify that statement. Like, how does it all have blood on it?
it all
I'm not
comes from,
arguing you. I'm
yeah,
just
right.
asking
No,
with
it
for elucidation.
pretty much, the last time I checked, almost all cocaine is cartel cocaine.
Mm-hmm.
Any cocaine you get is coming from South America. It has been fought over. People kill
Right.
for it. People
Mm-hmm.
die for it. People are exploited for it.
Mm-hmm.
And it comes here to America for your party convenience.
Right.
And so you're paying, somebody who probably is just putting food on the table for their kids or something,
Mm-hmm.
but they bought it from someone who murdered a family
Right.
because they got in the way of the cartel.
Mm-hmm.
And so, as it is right now, like, cocaine is somewhat natural. I'm not entirely sure of the entire cultivation process of the coca leaf.
Mm-hmm.
which cocaine is derived from. But I still believe in a sort of schedule system,
Mm-hmm.
and like I would not trust anything that does not come from the ground personally.
Mm-hmm.
Like pot, mushrooms, and maybe cocaine if it were um harvested
Mm-hmm.
by what do you call that, a co-op, you
Mm-hmm.
know a co-op of nudists made my cocaine. They're from
This was made by
Oregon.
hippies
Yeah,
up in Washington.
exactly. But, so those three I'm sort of fine with, but like acid, you're
Mm-hmm.
buying tabs of acid,
Oh,
where the
right.
hell did that come from?
Yeah.
Who made that? And so, should it be legal? Sure, you shouldn't get in trouble for having taken it, but I still
Mm-hmm.
like the idea of, like, basically you can do it, but don't sell it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, like obtaining it and selling it, distributing it
Right.
knowingly. Basically, you've got junkies
Mm-hmm.
coming to you, and
Yeah.
you're sort of a parasite on the system. And again, you may just be putting food on the table, but you know that's that's no bueno. You're sort of a pest in the neighborhood.
Mm-hmm. True.
The reason so and so's mama lost her job, pawned all of her possessions, and is homeless
Mm-hmm.
is because she could keep going to Joe and getting smack. And
Right.
so I still believe in the format of, like, don't sell it, but it's decriminalized to do
Right.
it.
Right. So if it would still have to go through like underworld channels to acquire it.
Right.
But if you get caught, you're not in trouble,
Right.
is
If
what you're
anything,
talking about.
right. And that leads me to, if I may speak for a moment on something that I'm completely not an expert on,
Mm-hmm.
kind of our
Yeah.
whole
That's
thing
our
here
whole
at
thing. We're not
Autodidactica.
experts.
Yeah.
Always correct us, listeners and viewers. We love to
But
be corrected.
I've heard about this. I've read about something that I believe was going on in Europe, where they have sort of
Mm-hmm.
like dose centers where you can go to a place and basically just get a room
Mm-hmm.
to shoot up your heroin, to smoke your crack, and there's medical personnel on site, and it's just a safe place to
Uh-huh.
do your illicit drugs.
Okay. I like
And
that. Like a vice den, but
mhm, and
regulated.
they offer, like, anybody who wants help, they can direct you to get help, and you're encouraged to. And they saw, like, dramatic results where, like, people would go there just to do their drugs,
Mm-hmm.
but eventually they were like, I want to stop this. Because oftentimes
Right.
when you want to stop an addiction,
Mm-hmm.
if you're in a junkie house,
Mm-hmm.
just in the neighborhood, you're not going to be encouraged to stop. Most addicts have those moments of clarity
Uh-huh.
where the high wears off,
Mm-hmm.
and you're like, I hate this, I want to stop this, I wish I could stop this. And it doesn't last. It varies from person to person, but it doesn't last very long.
Mm-hmm.
But when you have that moment of clarity in a junkie house, you don't have the resources available to you. Instead, you have your dealer there who's ready to take you know your next belonging for a hit.
Right.
But when you go to these centers, these dose
Mm-hmm.
centers, you can, when you have those moments and somebody says, do you want to stop,
Mm-hmm.
you can say yeah, and they'll point you in the right direction. And I think that's an awesome innovation in drug
Yeah.
culture.
And where did you say this was?
This was somewhere in Europe. I almost want to say
Okay.
it was the UK. I think it was going on in the UK.
And are the drugs they're doing legal there, or
No, they're
so it's
decriminalized.
decriminalized?
They're
Okay.
decriminalized. So you can go to this place with your hit of,
Right. And
crack.
you're not in trouble.
You're not in trouble. They
Okay.
don't call the cops on you or anything like that.
Hmm.
You can just, and if you OD, they get you to the hospital right away and make sure you don't die.
Right.
And I think that's a rad concept.
I do too. I like that.
And it was showing results too, like promising
Hmm.
results,
No doubt.
like drug overdoses like went down
Hmm.
in the immediate areas where there were one of these centers. So yeah, I think it's something that could work here in the United States too.
Hmm. Oh yeah, I
Is
think so too.
is just quit making basically innocent people who just got hooked on a highly addictive substance, quit making them out to be criminals.
Hmm.
They're they're sick people.
Right, exactly. And I mean, I would wager, were I betting man, that most people, like the vast majority of people who become addicted to a substance, didn't set out to become addicted to a substance.
No, nobody said, let me just sell
Right,
my house.
right. Let me just become a crackhead.
Right.
No, it's whatever circumstance led to, some people are more experimental. Some people they get that high and can't stop chasing it. Um, some people are one and done. Some people can do things on occasion and not get addicted. You can't really, it's like rolling the dice. You don't know which one of those people you are when you start experimenting with substances, with drugs, even alcohol. Alcohol is a drug. It's a legal drug.
Right.
Um,
Oh, and that's a whole another topic. Should all drugs be legal? Pretty much all drugs are legal as long as they're administered by a doctor and made by a pharmaceutical
right.
company.
And I wanted to get into things like that, like medicine and poison,
Right.
like things that are deliberately
The
poison
difference
and
is the
meant to kill.
dosage.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of like every drug is either a medicine or a poison depending on how it's used.
Yeah.
And yeah, the dosage.
The
Because
dosage and the administering.
right. Because I mean you can kill yourself with alcohol tonight if you really put your mind to it.
Challenge accepted. Just kidding, everybody.
But
But yeah,
alcohol poisoning, it happens. You
yeah,
can do it. I had a
kids
friend
are
who
prescribed
almost
meth.
died from that in a night just from partying way too hard.
I feel like I'm
Um,
being called out here.
oh no, 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 he went even worse than you.
Oh man, I felt
Even
that way the next day.
even
Like,
worse than you on New Year's.
yeah, that's now a common phrase. Whenever I see someone who's really messed up on TV or in real life, I was just like, "Yep, that's me on New Year's."
Yeah, that was a rough one. It was
That was a rough one. Yeah, I've had a few hangovers. Those I'm never drinking again kind of hangovers.
right.
But yeah, you've got doctors prescribing, Ritalin and what's the other big one? Adderall to kids, which is basically
Mhm.
methamphetamine.
Right, right.
And so, yeah, it just, the pharmaceutical companies, they can distribute all the drugs they want to.
Hmm.
I don't know the veracity of this statement, but it's widely believed that, acid was created by the US government
Right.
for
I've
like
heard that. I don't know about the
torture
veracity
and
of that.
or mind control and
Hmm.
things of that nature. And then the hippies got a hold of it, and here we are.
Right.
And so, yeah, we basically already have a all drugs legal system in the United States. It's just,
Right.
does your doctor say you can have it?
Uh-huh. Well, and yeah, some drugs like scientists are able to study illegal drugs
Right.
in some circumstances. Um, so yeah, you're right. There are conditions, I guess, for everything.
Right. You know, I
Um,
mean, you can use cocaine to as a numbing agent
mhm,
for dentistry. You know, that's
mhm,
one of its original uses is, you know, you gotta take a tooth out or do some tooth work, you
mhm.
just rub some cocaine on it and it works like a, a topical anesthetic.
Right. Like
And
Novocaine.
Novocaine, you know, I'd probably prefer cocaine to Novocaine.
Mhm.
That
I don't
needle
know.
hurts, man.
Yeah, me too.
When they first
Like
stick
they
you with the
always,
Novocaine, that shit sucks.
yeah, it does. And it doesn't like I need a double dose
Yeah,
because
I
I
mean, I'd
still
prefer to even
feel,
just take the knockout gas for all my dental work if that was an
oh
option.
yeah, for real.
I've never had the
Same.
gas,
Hmm.
you know, but I hear that stuff's awesome. You know, my dad loved the gas. Like, give me the gas every time.
Right.
Because, yeah, that Novocaine sucks.
Yeah. Oh, I hate it. Oh well.
I wonder if
What you gonna
Novocaine
do?
is just
Yeah, what
I
is Novocaine?
yeah, is it cocaine? It's got cane in it.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Well,
well,
like things like Novocaine, like that's not something you can just go to Walmart and get some Novocaine,
no.
but it's not illegal. Like there's a lot of you need a prescription. That's the
Yep.
regulation on it. Like what is it they when I was having those panic attacks years back that felt like heart
Xanax.
attacks. No, it wasn't Xanax. Like when I'd have to go to the ER because I thought I was on my way into the light. Um, they would give me an injection of something. Some
Morphine.
yeah, morphine.
Yeah, morphine is
Um,
heroin.
yeah, exactly. But
Yeah.
in the hospital, it's medicine. And yeah, 30 minutes in, that would kick in and all my pain would go away. But you can't just go to Walmart
No.
and get
I don't
some
think
of
you
that.
uh, I don't think you can get prescribed
No. Well,
morphine.
the closest thing is probably something like hydrocodone, which I feel like they overprescribe, honestly. Um,
Yeah, I've only gotten prescribed it once or twice personally,
mhm.
um, for dentistry stuff.
Yeah,
Um, I think that's all it was for. I don't remember. Maybe when I broke my ankle, I think
yeah,
I think they gave me
probably.
Oxycontin, which
Right.
is another one.
Yeah, yeah.
And so yeah, I mean, most of the time I get them, they don't do the hydros. They give me like the 800 milligram ibuprofens.
Hmm.
And but yeah, you know, you got things like Xanax, which are just super common on the black market,
Right.
you know,
Yeah,
and
for real.
but people need those.
Hmm. Yeah, people do. Yeah, that's not hard to get. Like none of it's hard to get if you want any of that without a prescription.
Yeah, any prescription drug is probably the easiest drug to get
Yeah,
because
because
somebody
somebody's
can
got
just
a
get a false
prescription and
script.
yeah.
Yeah. It's
Uh-huh.
not hard to pay off a doctor to write a script.
Right.
You just got to know the right people.
Hmm. Pretty much.
And yeah, because what else is like legal but is often found in the black market? I mean, it's pretty much all of it.
Hmm. Yeah,
Um,
like any of those medications that make you feel good.
you know, one of the huge ones right now is fentanyl.
Hmm.
You know, that is, you know, in all the news and all over the internet, and you know, it's being found in everything, you know, to where if you are doing illicit drugs, you know, it would be very wise to have a test kit.
Yeah.
You know, there is a widespread campaign to test your drugs,
Hmm.
and you know, the person selling it to you probably doesn't know if it has fentanyl in it or not.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of people have lost their lives due to fentanyl overdose.
Right, true. True. That's reminding me of something else, like when you're done with that point.
Yeah, we lost like lots of people in the rap community.
Mm-hmm.
Just off the top of my head, you've got, Mac Miller, you've got Lil Peep,
Mm-hmm.
just countless, and then countless festival goers and, you know, avid drug users who are usually smart enough to, just do the right amount of their drug of choice and have a good time, feel like crap the next day, then go to work the next day.
Mm-hmm.
They lose their lives because their drug had more than they bargained for in it.
Right.
But then, double-edged sword, it's fentanyl is a very effective medicine
Mm-hmm.
for chronically ill people.
Yeah,
Most often used for
exactly.
chronic pain. So like cancer, AIDS,
Mm-hmm.
extreme cases of fibromyalgia, and
Right.
things to do with nerves. Um, and so yeah, that's the most common use of it. They just slap a fentanyl patch on you, a slow release patch.
Mm-hmm.
But I it comes in many forms, and but
Right.
then all of a sudden it's in your Molly, it's in your cocaine, it's in
Right.
your everything.
Yeah. And that's a great example of a drug that is legal and is regulated that is still killing people. It's still being abused. Um, which is an illustration of the fact that legalization, decriminalization is not going to 100%
No.
get rid of any of the problems. It's going to greatly diminish the problems, but
Yeah, if I could summarize, just the number one thing that would happen if drugs became legal and regulated is you just see an overwhelming amount of more people trying to get help for their addictions.
right,
You'd
without
see
fear of
less
consequence.
without fear of consequence. You'd see
Hmm.
less overdoses.
Yeah.
Courts would probably be more lenient on small time distributors.
Hmm.
Because like I mentioned a few times already, a lot of these people are just trying to put food on the table.
Right.
And a
Right.
lot of times they might have already done jail time. And guess what happens after you do jail time? It's harder to get a job. It's harder to feed your family. So
Right.
what do you have to do? You end up in the cycle of
Hmm.
of the criminal world where you can't get a good paying job to feed
Right.
your three kids. So now you have to resort back to criminal acts, aka selling drugs. So
Hmm.
now you can afford to feed your kids. But then you get caught, you get put in jail, you come back out, even harder to get a job. And so this, that, and the other, and all of a sudden you're just a repeat criminal offender, and that's all you'll ever be. But if you decriminalize, legalize, regulate, lessen the punishments for
Hmm.
small time drug dealers. I'm not talking about people that are literally killing people on their way, the cartel. Like,
Yeah.
by all
Yeah.
means, incarcerate cartel members that have no problems getting blood on their hands and have killed and will continue to.
Hmm.
But, just, the small time guys that are just trying to feed their kids, that
Yeah.
would create some form of leniency on them.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think,
Which would be good.
legalization, regulation would have an overwhelming effect on society as a whole in a
Hmm.
positive direction.
Yeah.
It would
I
eliminate
think
all
so.
fentanyl overdoses and all bloodshed over high yield
Hmm.
drug products. No, but it would
Right.
be a step in the right direction.
It would. And like I mean this is the thing that I was reminded of earlier when we were talking about fentanyl.
Mhm.
Um because it would also, I think, from what I'm learning, I have a friend who's in a rehab program right now and is in a halfway house sort of situation for the last several weeks, and doing classes part of the day. Um and he's constantly telling me stories about what happened last night at the house. People are dying. People are ODing on fentanyl. People are getting out of the program and dying. They had a drug bust in the house and found, a lot of people had big old stashes, like a bunch of those weed vape pens were found in a drawer, and that's one of the mild things they found in there. Like the people in this rehab program are still in contact with their dealers. Their dealers are still pushing. The dealer does not want you to get through rehab, that knocks down their income. The dealer wants to make sure it's not effective. I feel like scenarios like that, like legalization, would make those programs more effective, because if your dealer is Walmart, they're not stalking you in rehab. They're not texting you and saying, "Hey, if you need something, just
Right.
just tonight,
I'll give you a discount, and
right, the
you know,
rehab discount."
yeah, you
Like,
can get this one for free or something like
right.
that.
Yeah. Now
Yeah,
I
no, I
think.
totally get you. And that's one of the main arguments has been for the pot, the legalization, is
Mhm.
undercut the black market.
Right.
It I mean, I used to be an avid pot smoker.
Mhm.
Hence the 2 foot long dreadlock and the long hair and all of the things that make me look like an avid pot smoker.
Mhm.
But you know, the stuff we used to get when I was, growing up, in my late teens and whatnot, was 100% Mexico cartel weed.
Right.
But then as Colorado legalized and then Washington legalized and then all these other states start legalizing, guess what? All my dealers, they're like, yeah, this comes straight from Colorado. Now
Mhm.
it's like, this is from Oklahoma. This is from here. This is from there. This isn't from the cartel. Like,
Mhm. Right.
it's
Right. It's
it's
true.
working. Like,
Yeah, it
is it
is.
still illegal here in Texas? It's
Right.
100%
It
illegal, and
is. It
these
is.
people that get it for you from other states are taking huge risks bringing it into Texas.
Right. Legally. But
Legally huge risks, but it's not hurting
yeah,
anybody.
nobody's getting killed over
Nobody's
this
getting killed
stuff.
over this.
Over the vape pens imported from Colorado.
California and
Yeah,
I guess
Oklahoma even, right?
Oklahoma. Yeah, that's the big one now for Texas, because
Yeah, because
why
it's
go all
right
the way to
next
Colorado,
door. Yeah.
And so,
Mhm.
yeah, it's and guess what? Uncle Sam is taking a cut off of all this
All of it. Yeah.
because it's all getting taxed. When our people who go and get this for us get it,
Mhm.
they're paying tax.
Yeah.
And so, you know, what was it? One of the conditions for Colorado legalizing pot
Mhm.
was all of the sales tax, the state sales tax, goes directly to the school system.
Mhm.
So literally,
Right,
people buying
exactly.
pot is paying for textbooks for kids and
Right. It's
lunch programs for kids that can't, wouldn't eat otherwise.
Yeah, think of the children.
Think of the
Smoke
children, smoke
weed.
some pot. That was literally a campaign. Like, that was a
Really?
campaign point, is think of the children, smoke some pot.
That's great.
And yeah, so yeah, to your point, absolutely, you would undercut your scummy heroin dealer
Mhm.
if you could just get heroin
Right.
for, if you could just get morphine from Walmart, you
Right.
wouldn't need to do black tar heroin.
Exactly.
And
Yeah, and if you wanted to get clean, those places would probably be a lot cleaner to go and get
yeah,
clean.
yeah, absolutely. And then, if Walmart had its own designated dosage spot, because most of the time, whenever a junkie is getting their fix, their hit,
Yeah.
they're going right around the corner
Mhm.
and
Oh
doing it
yeah. Yeah,
immediately.
they don't want to wait.
No, they have been waiting,
Exactly.
and they do not wait long. And that's often why, I'm that's not the name for it. I keep calling it a junkie house, but there's a name for it. What do they call that place? Like
Um,
where
you
junkies
know,
gather.
I know exactly what you're talking about, and because you asked me, I can't think of it. Um,
I mean, a drug house,
yeah, pretty much a crack house.
yeah. I just,
But there, no, I know there's a,
yeah, there's a slang
I
term
don't
for it, and I
know.
can't remember what it is.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I was just at a place of business here recently
Mm-hmm.
where we're sitting there and we're looking out the window,
Mm-hmm.
and one of the people had gone out for a smoke, and he was joined by a lady,
Mm-hmm.
one of his clients, and she was going to go have a smoke too. Except all of a sudden, she's got foil and a straw in her mouth and a lighter in the other hand. And he's like, "Yo, I came out here to smoke a cigarette, not smoke heroin."
Right.
And it's just like the audacity
Mm-hmm.
to right outside someone's place of business just spark that up.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
That is audacity for
Yeah,
sure.
so the people that are doing this, they're not waiting long after they buy it. So Walmart had its own little dose room.
Mm-hmm.
You could buy or hit a smack and
Right,
just go
pretty
into the
much.
dose room.
You know,
Say,
just like people do at Starbucks.
they
Like
check your receipt on your way out.
yeah.
It's like, oh, how was that? How was the smack? Oh, it was good. It was good.
See you tomorrow.
Yeah. See you in 3 hours when you'll be back.
Three right. Uh, it is like Starbucks. Oh well, speaking of legal drugs.
Yeah. Stuff. I mean, people call it crack. People call it
Yeah,
their. It's such a fad to be addicted to coffee.
right. But I mean, it is a legitimate drug that does damage.
Yeah,
Um, I had to write a whole report on caffeine addiction
it's a
in
psychoactive
college.
substance.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
But
I've been hooked on caffeine probably since I was
mhm.
17 years old, and I discovered how delicious coffee could be if you just put an ass load of sugar in it. And over time, I've gone to straight
Right.
black coffee.
Yeah,
Don't
I do.
even
I went to
think about
black coffee
putting just a pinch
and
of sugar in my
decaf.
coffee.
Right. Yeah, I don't put sugar in mine. Decaf
Like,
tastes the same, but
yeah,
minus
it's a
the
little burnt.
calf.
Yeah, because I have to
Um,
roast the hell out of it.
right. But that kind of brings up another point in my mind. Um, because like I was severely addicted to caffeine many years back. Like it was like crack. I couldn't wake up without drinking a pot of coffee. I couldn't go to sleep without drinking a pot of coffee. I always had like from 7-Eleven one of those massive super big gulps of Dr. Pepper. I'd have to go several times a day. I'd start getting headaches if I didn't have something caffeinated going into my body. And it started messing up my heart, right? And so I had to quit. And it took me several attempts. Finally quit it. Haven't done it since because it was like a street drug to me. But that, like caffeine, it's a candy drug. We give it to children. Something that I would run into was that people wouldn't take my struggle seriously because this is a candy drug that we give to children. Everybody is on caffeine, right? But it was doing damage to me and I had to quit it because I was abusing that drug. I wonder how prevalent that kind of thinking would become for other drugs that are legalized that don't do like weed that it just chills you out, but you can abuse weed, you can overdo it and have a psychological struggle to break that habit. And if it's legal, I just wonder how many people are going to have to deal with people not taking you seriously when you do discover you have a problem with a substance that is so commonly used, like coffee. Like everybody's addicted to coffee, but if it starts messing up your heart, people who aren't that addicted aren't going to take you seriously.
I think you bring up a very good point.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to imagine
Mm-hmm.
now, but in maybe 100 years or so,
Right, right.
like when the culture has shifted towards, oh yeah, you want to, do a line of cocaine,
Uh-huh.
and it's like, no, thank you. I can't be around that stuff. It messed
Mm-hmm.
me up pretty bad. People are just like, oh, what a loser. Can't even drink a Coke.
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about?
Uh-huh.
And, it brings up a very good point to my own personal struggles with pot.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can't get addicted to pot.
Oh, right. Yeah,
What do you
you
mean you
can.
can't? What do you mean you can't smoke pot? What do you mean it doesn't affect you the way it affects me?
Mm-hmm.
And people, the culture has already shifted for pot. It's been,
Right.
people don't take it seriously
Uh-huh.
at all for 100 years already. And
Mm-hmm.
so it is sort of the same thing about your caffeine struggle now,
Mm-hmm.
because everybody smokes pot. you know everybody has or does smoke pot.
Right.
A lot of people don't do it regularly, but they have done
Mm-hmm.
it in the past
Right.
and wouldn't be opposed to taking a puff off a joint now.
Uh-huh.
And some people do it multiple times a day, have no problems with it.
Mm-hmm.
And then some people like me spiral into a panic attack
Right.
as soon
Yeah.
as they take a hit. And that those people are laughed at, mocked, not taken seriously within the pot
Mm-hmm.
smoking community. And people will be like, well, what strain were you smoking? uh well, how did you smoke it? Are you
Yeah.
sure it was it indica, was it sativa, was it a hybrid? No, see, what
Right.
you need is you need this, try this and that. And it's like, dude, I've tried it all.
Yeah. If
Just leave
people
me
are
alone.
trying to wrap their brains around an experience they aren't
Right.
having.
Right. And it'd be like if I was like, well, have you tried Coke instead of Dr. Pepper?
Mm-hmm.
You know, have
Right.
have
No,
you tried
true.
Monster instead of coffee? Red Bull, maybe?
Mm-hmm.
Which is an interesting thing that I'm experiencing right now.
Uh-huh.
Coffee has been messing me up for a little
Right. Right.
while, for like the last 2 years. Like, I would I used to work at Starbucks, so I am no stranger to the caffeine addiction.
Mm-hmm.
I was a closer. I am not a morning person, and so I would do the 2 to 10, 2 to 11 shift every night, 5
Right.
days a week. And I would go in, I would drink a latte that had 4 or 5 shots of espresso in it, which is basically 4 or 5 Coca-Colas condensed into a shot glass.
Right.
Um, I would have that right at the start of my shift.
Mm-hmm.
Middle of my shift, I'd have another one. End of my shift, when my girlfriend would come and pick me up when
Mm-hmm.
we were sharing a car, I'd make one for me and one for her. And we'd go home
Uh-huh.
at 11 o'clock at night and drink 5 shots of espresso. So I had like totals of anywhere between you know, like like 13 and 17 shots of espresso
Mm-hmm.
every day. Oh, and on my off days, I'd go in and
Yeah.
get my beverages. I might even go back twice a day.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Gosh, you sound like me back when I was a caffeine crackhead.
and so, once I stopped working at Starbucks,
Uh-huh.
and I didn't have that discount anymore, I could not afford to be drinking as much Starbucks as I was drinking as an employee.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then, so here recently, and within the last 2 years, I started working from home. In the morning, I'd go get my coffee from Starbucks,
Mm-hmm.
but it would start making my heart would not slow down.
I know what you're talking
And I'd
about.
have to leave my desk and just
Yeah.
go lay in bed and breathe.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, what in the hell is causing this?
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I couldn't operate without my coffee. I was damned with it and without it.
I feel that.
And
Yes.
so then, my roommate is all into Red Bull.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, oh no, if coffee's this bad for me, Red Bull's gonna be worse.
Right.
Well,
Not
I
me,
tried
the
it.
other roommate, just so we're
Yeah,
clear.
not you.
No.
So I tried it. World of a difference.
Mm-hmm.
It does what coffee used to do for me without the panic. I can slam 3 Red Bulls
Interesting.
back to back to back,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna feel a little sweaty,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't. My heart's just fine.
Mm-hmm.
And so it is the strangest thing. I don't know what's going on with that. I don't know the science behind it.
Yeah, that is weird.
Dose for dose. Technically, with Red Bull, I'm drinking less caffeine
Okay.
than I am with coffee. Like 1 8-ounce Red Bull is like 1 shot of espresso. But the drink that I like from Starbucks, iced coffee, is insanely caffeinated,
Yeah.
ounce for ounce, against regular coffee.
Mm-hmm.
But even I stopped drinking Starbucks to save money and
Yeah.
would just brew my own coffee. But that's what started doing it to me. So
Mm-hmm.
ounce for ounce, it's about the same amount of caffeine. I just had to throw my hands up. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
I don't know what's doing it, but
Yeah, but drugs are weird. Like
drugs are weird. Maybe it's
that's
the
really
my current hypothesis is naturally occurring caffeine versus lab derived
hmm.
caffeine.
Okay. So the coffee being the naturally occurring and
Mm-hmm.
the Red Bull being laboratory.
Yeah, I think it's made in a lab. I doubt they use like coffee bean extract for
Yeah,
their.
I don't know. I have no idea.
Me
All
either.
I what I do know is that if caffeine all around was jacking you up and you were having a hard time kicking it, well, I don't know this, but I assume it that you couldn't say that you need to go to rehab for caffeine.
Oh, they'd laugh you out of there.
Exactly.
Yeah, you could talk to your doctor maybe, and he's just like,
Uh,
"Well, have you tried stopping?"
right. But it's
Like,
so hard.
yeah,
Like when you're that
it's as hard
addicted.
as smoking.
Yeah, I would agree. Just from, I've never been addicted to cigarettes or anything, but I know people who have and have tried to kick it. And from what they tell me, it sounds like that's one of the most addictive things you could possibly do is smoking. But I feel like I had that kind of struggle kicking caffeine.
Yep.
Because um oh, why can't I think of words? The withdrawal symptoms
Right.
were terrible.
They're awful.
And that's why, several attempts I just aborted the mission.
No, there have been times
From
where I'm like working or something. Like I'd go into the office, I was running late or something,
Mhm.
and I'd get started working, and like 2 3 hours in, I'm just like, dude, what is this headache? Oh
Oh,
yeah,
the
I
headache.
didn't have my coffee.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it was. I was late for work, didn't have time to stop at Starbucks.
Right.
I had to hit the ground running once I got to my desk at the office.
Yeah.
So I haven't visited the Keurig and the break room or anything like that. And yeah, you forget about it and then it hits you.
Yeah, your body punishes you for
And
not having your coffee.
I am an avid, caffeine consumer still, as I just, talked about.
Mm-hmm.
But like whenever I am recovering from a heavy night of drinking,
Mm-hmm.
the hangover the next day is often brutal. Um,
Right.
my hangovers, it's not so much a hangover of the head. My stomach is screwed. The all
Yeah.
day nausea.
Uh-huh.
Um, and so that being the way it is, I often like I'll take an ibuprofen the next day and I'll just sort of suffer in bed,
Mm-hmm.
not eating anything, not drinking anything besides water. And then I'll be like, dude, I took the ibuprofen. Why does my head still hurt? Oh yeah, no caffeine. So I'll go crack a Red Bull, and just take a few sips, that first few sips, and the headache's gone instantly.
Yeah.
Like the moment it
Uh-huh.
touches my lips, just a drop of it. But because my stomach's so screwed, I can't just guzzle a whole one down. And so I just have to sit there and
Right.
just stave off the caffeine. But yeah, so to your point, you know, these mainstream drugs like caffeine and arguably nicotine and
Mhm.
alcohol,
Right. Yeah, I don't think you can even go to rehab for nicotine, can you?
you
Like they
can,
would, oh, can
you
you?
can,
Okay.
yeah. There's
I never
also,
hear about people doing that. Like,
because smoking is arguably way worse than Dr. Pepper.
yeah. Right. Yeah. Oh, true. I would not argue
Right.
with that.
Yeah. And so they do make an effort to help people quit smoking. If
Hmm.
you think you need to be cordoned off from it, a nicotine
Yeah.
patch and the gum and the
Uh-huh.
support of your friends isn't enough, you need to be literally put in a padded room away
Yeah.
from what is his name, Joe Cool, for
Right. Or
for
Joe
2 weeks.
Camel.
Yeah, Joe Cool is
Oh,
that's
Joe Cool.
Snoopy.
Oh, that's right. I
Yeah.
forgot about that.
And my mom likes both of those things, Joe
Okay.
Camel and Joe Cool. Um, but yeah, I'm pretty sure they'll allow you to do that,
Hmm.
if you want to pay the exorbitant rehab fees
Yeah.
just to,
Yeah,
quit
you're
smoking.
probably right because you can go to rehab for alcohol,
Yeah,
but
easily.
um
That's probably the most treated substance abuse in the country,
probably,
is alcoholism.
I mean that's what my friend is in for.
And it's the most underreported one too.
Uh-huh. I
Alcoholism
believe it.
is, it's everywhere and it's
Right, it
encouraged.
is.
It's part of the culture, college
Right.
culture.
Uh-huh.
you know it'd be, it's very much the equivalent of, if college culture was shooting up smack.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that's where we're heading. If we legalize all drugs, college culture is going to get incredibly worse.
Maybe so. But I think they're already there. Like, okay, that's something like people say if we legalize drugs, then everyone will do all the drugs. But like college, I feel like the people who are doing the drugs, they're doing it even while it's illegal. I think for the most part, you legalize it, the people who are refraining in like cultures like that, like college culture, um, or environments like that, are going to continue to refrain because most of them, it's not that they're refraining because it's illegal. I would think. Um, they're refraining because they don't want to. It's not like they can't get it. It's not like it's not right there and all of their friends are doing it. Some people just don't do it. Like for
That's a good
me,
point.
if you legalize cocaine, I'm still not going to do cocaine because my
Right.
reasons for not doing it have nothing to do with the
With its
legality of it.
legality of it.
Exactly. Like
Yeah, no,
my
I completely agree.
Mhm.
To a degree. And this is sort
Yeah.
of off the rails a bit, what I'm about to say. But with legalization comes innovation.
Oh, that's true. I see where you're going, I think.
And
Do it.
the way we do cocaine now, the way we do heroin now, and all
Hmm.
of that could be vastly different from how our great grandchildren do these very same drugs. Like,
Right.
take this little device in my hand, for example. You know, to your point of people don't do it, well, smoking was innovated. And now non-smokers everywhere are vaping like crazy.
Mm.
People that have never smoked a cigarette in their life before. You can't walk into a bar without damn near everyone in there
Hmm.
hitting a vape of some sort. Now they're commercialized, they're mass produced. You can buy them at any gas station with relative security. It used to be you don't want to buy those gas station vapes because you have no freaking idea what's in those things.
Right.
But now it's a little more streamlined, and you still really don't know what's in those things. There are fakes of larger companies that make their way into convenience stores and
Hmm.
stuff like that. But what if they come out with a cocaine gum, you
Hmm.
know,
Oh, I see what you're saying.
and they come out with a
And it's just a little
heroin,
pep in your step.
yeah, and
Uh-huh.
things like that. So I think the culture will be innovated,
Hmm.
perhaps, and people that are scared to do a line of white girl
Right.
would have no problem
Chewing
chewing
gum.
some cocaine gum.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
And because weed has been largely innovated
Oh yeah.
now that it's
Yeah, you can
been.
take weed about any way you can think of. I'm sure there's weed gum,
Yeah, absolutely, there's weed
There's
soda.
there's
you
weed
know
soda that you can eat it, you can drink it, you can smoke it, you can chew
yeah,
it. You
I'm sure you could snort it if you really wanted to. You can parachute it, shove it up your butt.
Right, right. Is that what that's
um
called?
yeah, parachuting.
I hadn't heard that term.
Yeah, it's a good time. You just wrap it up in a little piece of toilet paper and shove it up your bum.
Yeah, I don't think that
Looks like a
appeals.
little parachute.
Okay, okay, that's why it's called parachuting.
Yeah,
Ew.
you're not making love. You're just a little. I've never done it personally, but that's how it was described to me, and I was like, I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah.
I will take my pill orally. Thank you very much. Instead of
Right.
I will keep this an oral pill instead of a suppository. Um, but yeah, no, weed has been innovated on, and I think if drugs were, the more illicit drugs, the
Hmm.
non-pharmaceuticals were made legal, I think, then, teams of innovators would get a hold of them and be like, how can we make this more desirable to the people who would not regularly do this or
Hmm.
normally do this? Because that's exactly what they've done with weed.
Right, right.
And, you know, I'm over here big braining because I've never thought about that before until we did this podcast. That happens with a lot of our topics.
Right. That's
I
what's
arrive at,
one of the things that's great about them.
yeah, because like I'm thinking about like you and I have talked about this before.
Uh,
MDMA,
uh-huh.
the party drug known as Molly,
Right.
um, often known as ecstasy
Hmm.
or just X,
Yeah.
um, not to be confused with Twitter. Uh, Whatever the hell's going on there.
Yeah, nobody knows. It's a
But
mess.
Molly or MDMA, the substance itself, the chemical chain known as MDMA,
Hmm.
shows promise in treating things like depression.
Right.
But you can't study it.
Hmm.
like like you know research teams have a really hard time finding funding to help them study MDMA,
Hmm.
and that is something that would just unlock the potential of all of these illicit drugs. Is made legal,
Yeah.
experimentation by actual scientists
Hmm.
is now much more feasible. So what is the true potential of DMT, peyote?
Yeah.
Do
Yeah.
you actually find your spirit self and all of
Hmm.
these things
Right,
that are
right.
involved with drug culture?
Uh-huh.
Can you actually go on a journey to meet your past and present selves and
Hmm.
sort of unlock your potential, like the dude with dreadlocks at the party will tell you. you
Right.
know and so yeah, that's something that I would look forward to. Because
Hmm.
yeah, if they legalize drugs, all drugs, I'm not going to be like, well, finally, and just
Right.
go out
Same.
and do all of these things.
Same. Like the things that are on my list would still be the things that are on my list.
Right.
The things that are not on my list are still the things that would not be on my list on my bucket list or whatever you want to call it. Um, it's not going to change if it's legalized. I just want people to be safer.
Right.
I just want things to be safe for people who are doing all the drugs. um I
Yeah,
want it
absolutely.
I
That's
want
pretty
them to
much
be safe to ask for help and to help your friends and all of that. Yeah.
that's definitely the destination,
Hmm.
is just increasing public health.
Yeah.
Uh, things that increase public health, I give a thumbs up to.
Hmm.
9 times out of 10.
Right.
Um,
Other times you like
yeah,
that one time you're like, no, we don't want to increase public health on
yeah,
that. We want
yeah.
that to
No,
we want those people to suffer.
suffer. Yeah, they deserve it. Um, but yeah, I guess 10 times out of 10. I can't think of a single
I
instance
know
where I
it.
would turn something down. I'd probably that 1 time out of 10. It's probably such a radical thing that I gotta really
Gotta
like
be.
hold on, give me a second. Let me
Hmm.
go home and do research on whether or not sniffing your own poop actually, increases your life expectancy. You're gonna have to give me a minute on that one. But yeah, I think that's the bottom line to this whole podcast. You
Hmm.
answered it right away. I took the very long way around. Should all
Well,
drugs be legal?
good. That's why we have an episode, because you took the long way.
Hmm. Um, this is a really good topic to come back off hiatus on, because
Uh-huh.
I literally had to do no research.
Right. Oh, same.
Like I've been doing this sort of research since I was a young lad,
Yeah.
stepping into circles where drugs are present.
Hmm.
I was just like, huh, weed's not so bad. What about the other things? Oh, it turns out those things are terrible. Okay, stay
Right.
away from those things. And,
Uh-huh.
you know, yeah, the internet has probably done a lot to basically inform people, but then why have drug overdose increases or
Hmm.
increased? You
Hmm.
know, Probably because we get to see how much fun, maybe media too.
Yeah.
Um, Media can make drugs look out to be these, very fantastic things, but they don't always paint the best pictures.
Hmm.
You know, I, I guess my one of my first experiences with like illicit drugs would probably be like Forrest Gump the movie.
Hmm.
Like, I watched that movie when I was a kid. I thought it was a true story
Oh,
when I
yeah.
was a
It's
kid.
presented that way. That's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, no, I totally thought that there was this guy named Forrest Gump that,
Who
you
did all
know,
these
did all
things.
these things.
Hmm.
But I watched this one of my mom's favorite movies, and I watched that with her. But I'm like, what's going on with Jenny? What's she doing? And watching that movie, it was a comfort movie for me over the years. If I was homesick from school, it was always on TV,
Uh-huh.
daytime television, one of the movie channels.
Right.
And as I got older and older, I kept seeing the movie over and over again, and it slowly sank in how much of a bottomless pit Jenny was digging herself into.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, so in the media, I guess my first thing, I didn't understand when I was a kid. It took me a long time.
Hmm.
But then, you get older, and now, there's so much damn television
Right.
that so many kids have access to. And, you know, TV parental controls, if I were to have children, would probably be a thing.
Hmm. Oh, definitely.
Like, there is so much TV available with not a small amount of them somewhat glorifying drug use.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. True.
yeah, it's probably done a lot for experimentation,
Hmm.
which can go poorly, which is probably a large amount of addicts how they end up that way.
Right.
Experimentation that ended poorly.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Like I said earlier, nobody
Right.
sets out to become a drug addict. Well, nobody is, you never know. There are some people with different agendas in life, but the vast majority
Yeah,
don't
and
set
some people
out to
become
become
privy to
addicts.
these things much faster than others.
Right.
Like I grew up in a household where there's none of that.
Uh-huh.
I didn't know what weed was until
Hmm.
probably middle school. But some of my friends just like, yeah, I knew what it was when I was in like first grade.
Yeah.
And it's like, really?
Yeah.
Like don't get me wrong, I was around it when I was a kid,
Uh-huh.
but I was way more concerned with my paper airplanes.
Right.
Like,
Paper airplanes were cool.
they were cool. But yeah, I think one of my best friends, like in like the third grade,
Hmm.
put on his like start of the year sheet was like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I think he put drug dealer just to just to screw with the teacher. And, he got
Yeah,
in big
that's
trouble for that.
funny.
But I didn't know what a drug dealer was. And, I was like, I remember I admonished my father for drinking Sunkist on our way to church because I had heard that you're not allowed to drink and drive, you know?
No, I remember being confused by that terminology as a child.
Yeah. And so I
It's
was
like,
like,
why
wait,
is drinking wrong? I don't understand.
yeah, I was like,
Don't we need
Dad,
to drink to live?
you can't drink and drive. And then, like in school, they always tell you drugs are bad.
Hmm.
There were all those campaigns. Red Ribbon Week was the thing for me. Like
Right.
we never had a dare presentation at my school. Dare was already pretty
Yeah,
much out the door.
they were pretty
Um,
funny.
but we all wore these ribbons for a whole week. It was like say no to drugs.
Yeah.
And they have these acronyms for drugs that were just basically painting drug users as losers. And
Right.
like, what does drug stand for? And it's like doesn't respect our country or something like that. And
Be a drock.
yeah,
But
but it was always something over the
don't do
top like that.
drocks.
And one of the
Yeah.
common memes nowadays is like, I've been offered way less drugs in my life than the dare program told me I would be. And
Right. True.
like but I remember like, I'm being told drugs are bad, but then, Mom, why are we stopping in the drugstore?
Hmm.
How are there drug stores?
Right, because drugs are bad.
Drugs are bad. And like she's like, I'm just going in to cash a check. Like,
Hmm.
well, what, you can cash checks at the drugstore? And yeah, so kids are dumb.
Right.
Yeah, don't do drugs, kids.
Aspirin, don't do it. Flintstone vitamins, stay away from drugs,
Ooh,
kids.
dude, I went in on some Flintstone vitamins.
Yeah, yeah. That was my first ever foray into drug experimentation
Oh,
was with
dude, yeah.
Flintstone vitamins. My
I knew where
cousin
my
and
mom
I.
kept them, and she gave me my one for the day, but it wasn't enough. I needed more.
Yeah,
So I'd
yeah.
get the chair out and climb on top of the counter and
Right, you got
get
to get
up
the
in the medicine
chair.
cabinet. And
Oh,
she'd come home to me, pass out on the floor with a spilled bottle of Flintstone vitamins
uh-huh.
next to my napping body.
You're passed out. No, my cousin also named Matt. I'm like throwing him under the bus here, but
Probably a cool
this
guy.
is a long time ago. We were toddlers. But um yeah, we got up on the chair and into the medicine cabinet at my mom's house, got out the Flintstone vitamins, and like, so I got a Dino vitamin, right? But then you need a bone for Dino to eat. So then that's what we were justifying the continued intake of more Flintstone vitamins by, well, this one I just ate needs this. It's like Fred needs to hang out with Barney. So
Yeah, I wonder how much those things actually were like.
they're probably nothing.
Yeah, because I'm just like, why don't they make those for adults?
Right.
Like,
Like, can an adult take I want to know now.
yeah, I mean, we need, different vitamins
Right.
as adult men, and
Yeah, and
but I'm just like,
Flintstones,
why? I'm like, why do they suck so much?
right. They suck and they're $40 a bottle, and
Oh yeah,
like the
yeah, no,
vegan supplements and stuff. Like,
yeah, yeah, no, and like, I take these
Oh, I've got that bottle in my
vitamin
medicine
code,
cabinet.
and
Yeah.
they suck.
They
Um,
suck.
you can buy these gummy ones, but they're so much more expensive.
Yeah.
They this was like a $40 bottle or something, and it's got
$40.
75 capsules in it. Pretty
Mm-hmm.
good deal when compared to the like I have these melatonin things, and they're
Oh
like little
yeah.
gummies, and they're freaking delicious.
Oh
And
really?
there's the thing is though is the vegan gummy vitamins comes, it's like a $40 bottle, comes with 60 things in there, so I'm like,
Right.
sweet.
So it's
But the dose is take four,
take four for
take
real?
four, and so that's 20 doses, or 15. That's
Mm-hmm.
15 doses for 60 capsules or
Yeah,
60
that's
gummies for
crazy.
$40, whereas I get 75 for the
Uh-huh.
little sucky pills.
Right.
um God, I hate vitamins. Gotta take them.
So yeah, they should make Flintstone vitamins for adults.
Yeah, amen.
I mean, there's nothing to stop us from trying it. I mean,
Yeah, I don't know what's in those things. Probably just sugar. It's all
probably.
fake.
I mean, there's got to be something in them, or they couldn't call them vitamins, right? But
Yeah,
I'm
anyways, we
curious.
are rambling on.
Right, right.
We are
Because
about to
now
go
I'm
down the
thinking
rabbit
about
hole.
Fruity Pebbles, and
Yeah.
it's.
So any closing thoughts, Glenn?
I mean, not really. Just that I think I've already said all my thoughts.
Yeah.
Um,
Should all drugs be
drugs.
legal?
It's not about whether doing the drug is ethically right or wrong. It's not about everyone being coerced into doing drugs. For me, it's about safety.
Public
For the
health.
people who make those choices, that's what it's about. Yeah, public health to me. I think, yeah, all drugs, personally, I think
Should be
should be
legal and
legal
then
and
regulated.
regulated. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a huge step in the right direction for see our first episode, I think, for a
Mhm.
utopia.
Oh
You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
and
Truth.
yeah, I think it's a huge step in the right direction for a utopia.
Hmm.
You get hooked on drugs, you have no problems and no societal grief for being hooked on drugs.
Right.
It is treated as a public health crisis, which it is
Hmm.
already. Experts regard widespread drug use as a public health crisis and should be addressed as such with no backlash.
Hmm. I
Yeah.
agree.
So yeah,
Good talk. Good.
good talk.
Good
Good
to be back.
episode.
Yeah, good
Yeah,
to be
yeah.
back.
Good to be back.
Let's see. Next month, I was about to say week.
Yeah.
Next month, our topic will be the personhood of animals.
Oh, that's gonna be a fun one.
It is going to be a fun one. Maybe a little more lighthearted than some of the heavier things we've been doing of late.
Yeah, maybe, but
But
also
maybe not.
the divisive.
Oh, definitely.
You
Definitely. I
know,
was thinking about that.
yeah, because I'm gonna have to go back to my militant vegan days
Right.
and
Wait,
getting
those are
that.
behind you. You're not
No, I
you're
haven't
pretty
been.
you're pretty militant vegan.
I have not been militant in a long time. Like I don't get into arguments with people online. I
Oh,
don't,
this is true. I see.
I
Yeah.
don't.
You used
I'm
to do
not an
that.
edgy, 19-year-old anymore.
Oh, I didn't
You
know
know,
that.
whatever your choice is, your own diet. Do you? I'm best
Hmm.
friends with a hunter.
Hmm.
It's it's yeah. Well, I'll talk about it more
Right.
during the
Yeah, that'll
episode.
be next month's
Yeah,
episode.
so that's gonna be a fun one. Something
Hmm.
I'm quite passionate about, quietly passionate about.
Quietly passionate. I like that. Oh, in other news, I'm a writer. As of this recording, well, as of this recording, other things may have come out, but um, right now, I have a new short story out called "In Wine Lies the Truth." It's a Kindle original, so check it out. It's funny. Um it's about a bar. It's about drinking. It kind of ties in with tonight's topic.
But you be quiet.
Honestly.
It is about none of that.
No, it's not. Remember like the
Yeah, no,
bug
it's
guy?
great. It's great.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And it's a
Definitely give that a read. But you want to start from the beginning if you're gonna read that one, because that is an ongoing series, is it not?
Oh, well, yeah, it's a sequel to another short story I did some years back called An Unexpected Snow. Um, you may appreciate the return of the protagonist if you read the first one, but it's not required
It's
reading.
not
You
required.
will
They're
not be
both great though.
lost. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. But yeah, so that's out. That's my plug. That's all I got.
Yeah. I don't really have any plugs to mention. Personally. I'm just kind of doing me.
That's good. That's good.
I do have a band, but I have not
Right.
heard from those guys in probably a year.
Yeah.
Just a little contact here and there.
Uh-huh.
Everybody's somebody became a dad recently, so now
Right.
3 out of the 4 members are dads, and
Mhm.
we had to get rid of a guy, all that fun stuff. And it's
Right.
like, did we really get rid of somebody if we haven't actually done anything in 2 years anyway?
Right.
Like,
Right.
but so yeah,
So yeah,
nothing
you
going
do
on at the
you.
moment. Yeah, I do me.
Hmm. You got this. This is
I
a
do have
thing.
this. This is a thing.
But we don't need to plug this because here we
No,
are.
here we are.
Oh
If
well.
you're listening, if you made it this far, thank you.
Yes, thank you very much for sticking with us while we took a break. Um yeah, and if you like this, subscribe to the podcast, subscribe to the YouTube channel, spread the word if you have people you think would appreciate our crazy talks on crazy topics. And I guess we'll see y'all next month
Yep.
with the personhood of animals.